You know what no one tells you about ADHD? Your brain is really good, like scary good at seeing patterns. You can walk into a room and immediately sense the vibe. You can read people's energy before they say a word. You can see connections between ideas that other people completely miss. It's not a party trick, all right? This is a superpower. And if you learn how to use it, it will change how you build your professional life, your business, and overall just live. Let's dive into it. All right.
Yeah, ADHD. Yo, next up, y'all better make some noise. From Kill, Mississippi, she's bringing that poise. Mama 3, yeah, she's paving the way, turning real life struggles into movements at stake. CEO of Socially Ausome, let's go. Teaching neurodivergent minds to run the show. No more hustling hard for every sale. She builds ADHD systems that never fail.
All right, welcome back. Alyece Smith, the ADHD CEO here. Obviously, I have ADHD, and today I'm going to show you how to leverage pattern recognition to create systems that actually work for your brain. All right, so let's dive into it. First and foremost, what is ADHD pattern recognition? So, ADHD brains are wired to notice patterns really, really fast. It's part of how we survived as a species this long. Our ancestors with ADHD were the ones who noticed, like, wait, those berries made someone sick last week. Let's not eat those berries. Or the animals always disappear before a storm. Or the path through the woods is safer than this path that looks safe, right? We're hyper vigilant. We're constantly scanning. We're noticing things other people miss while also missing a lot of things, right? But in modern life, this shows up as you knowing someone's upset before they even say anything or spotting trends before they blow up. So funny because at the time of this recording, right now, there's this whole controversy. I say controversy because some people love it, some people don't. As an autism mom, I think it's amazing. But Barbie just dropped an autistic Barbie. I think it's incredible. Just any type of awareness, I'm all for it. But a year ago, 1 year ago, I made a carousel on Instagram about how Barbie has ADHD and I know it because she's got to do it, all these things. There's multiple probably, but I only saw one post on Threads right now that is so viral from the ADHD community. That's like, what? We want an ADHD Barbie. And I'm like, hello, I knew this was coming. I already posted that a year ago, but it's really about seeing patterns before they happen or problems in a system immediately. That might be why you're perceived as someone negative, especially when you're asked for feedback and you give that feedback. And it's like you're playing devil's advocate because you can see what's going to happen before it actually happens. But then people think you're being negative, right? Or making connections between totally unrelated ideas, which could seem as a conspiracy until it's proven correct, right? Sensing when something feels off. The problem is most people don't teach you how to use this. They just tell you you're overthinking or you're too sensitive or, you're dramatic or you're making something out of nothing. But what if instead of suppressing it, you learned how to weaponize it in a good way? Can I say weapon on YouTube? I don't know. All right. Here's how to use it in your professional life and your business. Most of my audience is entrepreneurs, so I always like to use business examples. Now, before I go any further, I do want to let you know this is all based off my TEDx. So if you missed my TEDx, you can absolutely go watch it. I'll link it in the show notes below. But I took the entire TEDx because they only give you like 10 minutes in a TEDx, okay? And it's really honestly just the framework. I put it into Flow First Thinking, my brand new book that just launched on pre-sale. It's all about building flow first thinking, mind system, how you can tap into this entire potential. This is the framework that you need. If you're watching this at the time where the pre-sale is still live, a ton of benefits to getting it on pre-sale. Let's get into how to use pattern recognition every single day. All right. First and foremost, building systems. So when I notice myself procrastinating on the same task repeatedly, I don't try to force discipline. ADHD brains don't need discipline. We need dopamine. I recognize that pattern. I'm always avoiding this task at 9 a.m. I try to ask myself, when do I not avoid it? Now, if it's something that's constantly being avoided, you have to link boring with stimulating. And again, I go over this in my TEDx and then also in the book. But if you do notice, okay, well, I don't avoid it at 7 p.m. when I'm listening to music. Now you have data, right? You move that task to 7 p.m. Problem solved. Your brain is already collecting this data. You just have to pay attention to it. All right. Number two, understanding clients. And again, if you're a professional and you're not an entrepreneur, this could also be understanding your team or your coworkers. All right. This all comes together. But when I'm coaching someone, I don't just hear what they're saying, right? I try to notice patterns and how they're saying it, or patterns in the behavior, or patterns that they're saying the same things over and over, right? They always mention their business, maybe um, talking about a fear, right? I have a fear of putting this out there because people won't buy it. I have a fear of posting that content because it might get rejected. Or they light up when they're discussing content creation, but they shut down when they're talking about sales. They say, I should 47 times in one conversation, or I might be able to, right? That pattern really tells me what's going on. And because ADHD brains pick up on this naturally, we make incredible coaches, therapists, consultants, service providers. So think about this as you are either looking for a career change or building a business. Are you in the right place? Right. Number three, spotting market trends. So I can see what's about to blow up before it does, not because I'm a psychic, but because I notice those patterns. 2020, I saw everyone pivoting to online business, struggling with tech, right? There's a pattern there. Frustration, opportunity equals market gap. So this is where you can launch social media strategy. I launched my social media launch kit in 2023. So 3 years after that pattern, but so many people were getting into the online space, but did not understand social media. And I made six figures in my first 6 months selling that $37 product. So it's possible. In 23, I noticed ADHD entrepreneurs constantly talking about can't make, you know, them pattern was there and no solution, opportunity, right? So I built my ADHDpreneur Academy. I'll put information about that in the show notes as well. But seriously, it's a flagship program now. Your brain is already seeing these patterns, but you have to learn how to trust them. You have to learn how to build something from them instead of just ruminate on them. All right. Number four is identifying your spark times. So again, if you watch the TEDx, I kind of go over this, but I really dive into how to find them in the book. But F in flow stands for find your spark times. So remember how I said ADHD brains can't feel time passing, but we can feel and recognize patterns in our energy. I started noticing in my own life, I always prefer to write in the morning. I get creative ideas in the car. I can't focus on admin in the morning because it's a lot easier for me after 2 p.m. when my brain is not spiraling with ideas and creativity. Those are patterns. Once I recognized them, I was able to build my entire schedule around them. Now I work with my patterns instead of fighting them. And this is the W in flow. Work your week around your peaks, right? Number five, when something breaks in my business, I don't panic, or I try really hard not to. Sometimes I do, but I try really hard not to, and I look for the pattern. This always happens when I'm overwhelmed. One thing I talk about with my clients all the time is this usually happens when you're having a big breakthrough, right? We see this in our kids. As a mom of a child with autism, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with therapists where they will say, my child's behavior is changing or he's not wanting to comply with therapy as much right before he had a massive growth spurt and mastered a goal. This is something we see. And when you're able to notice those patterns, you're able to kind of come down back to reality, right? Maybe sales drop every time you stop posting daily, or your energy crashes when you schedule too many calls. Notice those patterns because that's going to help you get faster solutions. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how to develop this skill. First and foremost, tracking. So for the next week, really look at noticing patterns in a lot of different formats. Your energy throughout the day, okay? What tasks you avoid and when you avoid them. When do you get into flow? And again, watch the TEDx if you don't understand what I'm talking about flow. If you need help implementing this, 10 out of 10 recommend you grab the book. But what triggers overwhelm you? What ideas come to you? Write it down. Your brain is already seeing it. You just need to make it conscious and aware of it. Number two, ask better questions. So instead of why can't I focus, when do I focus? What's different about those times? Always procrastinate this. Ask what all tasks do I procrastinate have in common? Instead of why am I so tired? Ask yourself, what was I doing right before I got tired? Is there a pattern? Sometimes it's emotional energy that physically drains. You'll notice it, I promise. Step three of this is build systems around your patterns. So once you see those patterns, you have to use them. If you notice that you're creative at night, schedule creative work at night. I realize it, mama three here. Your schedule is not always flexible, but there's got to be a way that you can work with your brain. If you notice you avoid video when you're alone, film it when a friend's there. If you notice you get overwhelmed with too many choices, limit the options. Decision fatigue's a real thing. That's why I'm always in something logoed. Step four is trust your gut. All right. The feeling of something is off, that's pattern recognition. And your brain has noticed something your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. You don't want to ignore that. You want to investigate that because your ADHD brain is not a deficit. Pattern recognition is one of your greatest strengths. You absolutely can build better systems that support your life. You can understand people faster. You can spot opportunities earlier. You can solve problems quicker. You can create more effectively when you learn how to harness this, but only if you stop fighting with your brain and you start working with it. Again, this is just one of the core concepts in Flow First Thinking, the book. If you want to learn how to leverage your ADHD strengths, not just manage the challenges, I would check the show notes for the link. It is time to stop trying to think like everyone else and start thinking like the pattern recognizing genius that you actually are. Until next time, stay awesome.